Is always asking, experts say that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over 2/3 of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. One China expert says they, of course, will never admit to something like that. Well, what does China know that we don't? When it comes to global food shortages, China is the canary in the coal mine. You see, China is the world's #1 food importer. They rely on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. So they can't afford to mess up, or there will be riots, civil panic, or even worse, when over 1 billion people can't eat. What does this mean for Americans like you and me? 2 words: food shortages. That's why it's a smart idea to stock up on a kit of best-selling 4 Patriots survival food. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits, hand-packed in the USA. The kits are compact and stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. And their 5-star reviews on the website rave about the flavor and the taste. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food by typing in the code VTTGW at checkout. Just go to 4patriots.com and use the code VTTGW to get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food. That's 4patriots.com. Use the code VTTGW.
Hey, what's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
Here is a firm believer in all men are created equal, but not all men live equal. That is why there's a certain select number of people in the DoD who decided to jump out of airplanes. And yes, we are better than you. 100%. Now, don't be the first triggered pansy to say, well, airborne's not relevant. You haven't jumped since World War II. Well, that's not accurate, for one. And two, it's like having a jalopy or a 68 Mustang. Well, a 68 Mustang's no longer relevant. Doesn't matter. It's still a better car than yours. So take it easy this National Airborne Day and just accept that we are better than you.
So 2 things for today's Honesty Cap. First thing, how do all my boys from the 101st feel knowing that the Army decided that instead of actually making you airborne, they would just create a whole new division that's airborne because you just aren't cutting it? It sucks. Thing number 2, for all the folks who were like, oh, airborne is irrelevant, doesn't even matter. They're making a whole new division of just airborne people because they're relevant. Think about that. How's that feel? Does it hurt a little bit? I hope it hurts a little bit.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
Oh, we're live.
What is up, everybody? I think we're live. Nick, you got it figured out. Look at that.
We are. No help to that freaking Marine Chris Muffin.
Time to fire Chris.
Time to fire Chris. You're gone.
Where is Chris today?
I mean, I don't know, doing something like he said, like doing dad duties or something, like trying to be a responsible parent. I mean, fuck that means. So yeah,
I was gonna give kudos. That was a good reason, you know.
I'm missing my daughter's basketball game. No big deal. So
I mean, are you missing it, or were you asked not to join into the basketball game after the last basketball game?
I am allowed back in the gym.
Return.
I am allowed back in the gym. So
that's good.
Baby steps.
Well, hey everybody! Welcome to episode 139 of the Trash Talk Hour. Yeah, the dumpster fire has already started, man. Like we've been live for 20 seconds. That's awesome. And we got a special guest today, Josh White, an Air Force guy. Ooh, this should be fun. Number one,
Chair Force in the house.
We spoke about this. Yeah, we spoke about this pre-show. I think you're like the 5th or 6th Air Force guest in all.
Hell yeah,
139 episodes. So should be.
I love that I'm representing the Chair Force.
You know how you can tell that he's in the Air Force?
His hair.
How's that?
Boom, got it right off the bat. It's his hair.
Yeah,
that hard part and the fucking
dude.
Like, all the Army guys are just like, I just put a hat on. We just put hats on. We're good, except for Dave.
I got some gel in my hair, buddy.
Any real hair? His hair all. It's because he's German, so his hair grows all fucking weird and like.
I'm not German. Not German.
Nazi-like. You know, he's German. And
so
shit.
I live on Eglin Air Force Base, and all my neighbors are Army guys. And yeah, they don't really care about their hair. They're just doing deadlifts and shit. You just hear them dropping their weights.
That's because they're Ranger instructors.
But you come across
noises.
You come across an airman. We got that hard part etch. Our hair is top notch at all times.
Yeah, not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There are many things that the Air Force has over the Army, and one of them is good hair. You guys have really good hair. It's good, masculine. Like it's like you guys went back. Like we went back in uniforms to like the pinks, and you guys were like, you know what? Let's grab some of that hair, that Fury hair from like the 1940s. We're gonna do that.
Hell yeah!
It's always like a
but buddy, you came from a community that has beautiful hair too, buddy. You came from a community that has beautiful hair too.
I don't know if they have
green berets,
hair.
man.
No, we didn't have beautiful hair. It was just that it was longer and greasier. And it was cool at the time.
Fair enough.
Like, that's what I was going to say. Green berets are more about the sideburns, and
yes, good point. Good point, Nick.
Not really about anything else.
I would say that it used to be that way. I went on post today because I go to the gym on post now.
Yeah, right. Shut up.
I did. They have a 24-hour gym on Fort Campbell.
Good for you.
24 hours a day. Anyway, as I was driving through the gate, there was a dude sitting at the gate with a longer beard than I've got. And I was
I see that too. That shit blows my mind.
What is going on?
I probably need to research it more, considering I'm still serving it all. But essentially, there's just been so much debate over the beard stuff. I think it stems from the religious waiver and that atheists feel that should, be their religion, and they want a beard. You
can be a Viking now.
It gets in the gray area, but there's a whole Facebook page dedicated to it, and it's all a bunch of fired up, pissed off dudes with beards. That has been strangely enough, that has been a huge talking point in the services right now. And you go through the gate, and man, they've been rocking them big ass beards. They're not even hiding it. They're not even trying to trim it.
Yeah, it's not even like profile beard. It's like straight up like
it's like F you in your face.
Yeah.
Well, I saw an old soldier of mine with a full beard, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I called him, and I was like, are you okay? Like, are you like getting chaptered? And you're like, just stop giving a shit. And he goes, no, Sarge, I'm good. He's like, it's like I'm Nordic now. I'm like, you're Nordic now. And I'm like, yeah, but who the hell is your sergeant major? And he says, Travis Ellis. And I was like, no shit. And I like a good friend of mine, so like I call him up right away. I'm like, you literally gave this dude a beard? He's like, well, yeah, he's Nordic. I'm like, get the hell out of here.
I'm telling y'all, it's wild with that stuff now. It's crazy.
It's almost like they just can't say no. They're just like, no.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they don't want to deal with it.
They just don't have time to fight it anymore. And so many people won't. It's just like, whatever.
Well, I mean, that started happening before I even like retired, but it was like the the common, like the critiquing, like just somebody making an on the spot correction had stopped. Like it was like, I don't want to. If as soon as I make an on the spot correction, I'm gonna get yelled at, so I'm not gonna even do it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Frankie.
Yeah, on the spot corrections looked a lot different back then than they do now.
Well, yeah, you gotta be nicer about it. You gotta be nicer about it now. Like I took a tactic from that guy I just mentioned, Old Sergeant Major Velez. You know, he would walk up and be like, "Come here, Jimmy." And he's like, "Hey,
dude, I remember Rudder fucked this kid up in front of the World War II barracks, a battalion. You know, on Ardennes when we used to live in those barracks. Fucked this guy up for an hour in front of battalion. Sergeant Major came out and gave him a coin. We're like, good stuff, son. Good stuff. You know, fucking, you do that shit now, you'd have lost rank. I mean,
I was late. I was late one time in 18 years. In 18 years, I was late one time, and I was late. I was late to a late call, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was bad. I was hammered drunk the night prior. You know, I had a good time down there on Bragg Boulevard.
At least you had a good time, bro.
My phone rings and I'm like, I see who's calling. I'm like, hey, sorry. I call him. I'm like, sorry. He's like, where the fuck? I'm like, sorry. I'm sorry. I'll be there like in 20 minutes. They got 5 minutes. I'm like, I can't be there in 5, but I'll be there in 20. I promise. Like, I'm coming in. I got smoked. It was like, I think it was 95 degrees outside. Probably about 100% humidity there in North Carolina. And I was running suicides on the basketball court until I passed out, right? Because I was still drunk, you know. And they're like, are you still a drunk specialist? And I was like, yeah, you're right, Sergeant. You know, like, you know. And so like I pass out, and then they give me an IV, give me smelling salts, and then smoke me again until I pass out.
Whoa!
I'm like, this is awesome. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna die.
I mean, our platoon Sergeant Luther used to, like, in the mornings on like Monday come in, or Friday mornings, and he'd walk through the formation like, let me smell your breath, Private. And, you know, we've been drinking the night before in the barracks, and the more you smell, it wasn't like, all right, get out of here. He'd just run us like fucking 12 miles. Like,
well, that used to be the rule back in the day.
Morning, boys.
As long as you didn't fall out, you were good to go.
Yeah. Your ass was running Coolican twice.
Yeah. Like, you're gonna run 12 miles. You're gonna go get breathalyzed. Your choice,
dude. I had a team leader. I had a team leader when I was
Sergeant Luther. Sergeant Luther. Yeah.
I had a team leader when I was in Korea. I've never met anybody that could be absolutely stone cold sober at fucking 4:59, and at 17:01. Legitimately blind drunk. Like,
holy shit.
And he would drink. That dude would drink until he passed out on Friday night, wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning on a Saturday, drink until he passed out again. God. And he would do that until Monday morning. Monday morning, he would come out to formation with a fat dip of Copenhagen in his mouth, stinking worse than... It was bad because he didn't take a shower all weekend. He just drank beer all weekend. And then he would be like, all right, we're gonna go do a 5-mile detox run. And I'm like, fuck. The first time it happened, I was like, all right, whatever, this ain't gonna be shit. That fucking dude did a right face and started fucking running, and I shit you not, it was at a fucking sub 6-minute mile for 5 fucking miles. I did a 1.25 miles of that and was like, nah, Sarge, like, we can do a 7. I can do 7 for 5. I'm not doing 6 for 5. How are you even? I can't breathe because you stink. And we're just running too fast. Like, I'm not doing it.
Bro, the true alcoholics can do that. I mean, that's the scary part.
They crowd any second most fittest alcoholics in the world.
I claim that he is the reason that I became so good at swimming, because when we didn't run, we would go to the pool right down and we would swim laps. But I would make sure that I was on the opposite side that he was on, because the top foot of the pool, like, you couldn't breathe because it was just this old alcohol, nasty, stale dips. Oh, it was fucking horrible. Yeah, but that dude was a beast. A fucking beast.
All right. Well, hey, do you want me to play that fucking silly video you have?
Yeah, let me talk about it for just a second, and then we'll play the video, and then we'll discuss it. So last night I went down a rabbit hole, and you look something up on the internet, you type in like conspiracy and one pops up, and then you start like watching TikTok videos of it, and then nonstop TikTok videos of that'll show up.
Educating yourself on the truth. Yeah.
Bro, once you're in that
Yeah,
cycle, that train don't stop till 1 a.m.
And as you guys know, I like to go down that rabbit hole sometimes. And I came across the Malaysia flight, 370, that disappeared back in 2014.
You found it?
Well, I might know where it's at. So I started going down this rabbit hole. Obviously, you guys know it. It disappeared, and then they did mention later on that supposedly it washed up, or parts of it washed up on Indian Ocean somewhere. But then later on, they said that was not the flight. So there's this big conspiracy going around, and maybe the Air Force guy on here knows, or even Buddy.
This is why we're doing
this.
Why would the Air Force guy know?
Because every Air Force guy
you don't know what I'm
flies,
saying.
buddy. Every Air Force guy flies.
Oh my God!
In the air.
I'm a medic. I don't think I could advise on that.
No, you fly. You fly.
Where's the
Air Force guy
Malaysian flight, dude? Where is it?
Buddy.
We know you know.
Okay.
It was in the air.
All right. No, buddy. You didn't let me finish my sentence.
It was in the air.
There's this island out in the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. It's actually a military installation.
I do know about that place.
Here we go.
I do know about that place.
Oh, but I'm just a medic.
See what happens? That's what I was trying to get at. And it's owned by like the United Kingdom and the US. And I actually researched this island, and it's like a small island. There's only a couple thousand soldiers on there, and supposedly like the CIA does a bunch of testing there, and there's like underground labs, and they take a lot of prisoners there as well. So when we think that one place, what's that one place called that we usually take all the bad guys
Quantico.
Not Quantico, the other place, Guantanamo. Yeah, this place would be like even more extreme. So the conspiracy has it that this plane actually landed on there because it had 4 dudes on there that were getting this patent signed. It was like 300 and something billion. Yeah. And long story short, the plane landed there. Just watch the video and we can discuss it afterward. But it's crazy.
And you're first in the shoot, Josh, so take notes.
Hell yeah.
One of the most evil, vicious Navy bases in the history of the planet. They do stuff that would make like Santa Claus. Diego Garcia.
So
wait.
Sorry.
Diego Garcia. That's where that first Malaysian plane is. That's where it landed. It had 4 scientists on it. 20 scientists, but 4 had filed for patents. It was Malaysia, but they worked out of Austin, Texas, for Texas Instrument. And the ones behind that plane was Texas Instrument, the government, and Boeing, who made the plane. And everybody is stupid enough to believe that a plane almost a block long can just disappear. With the electronics we have, all the technology we have, the next generation of cars will come out, there'll be no driver. So we got 4 of those top scientists that had filed for patents worth $400 billion. Okay? So if 1, 2, 3 of us and your brother, 4, we filed for patents. And then here's a friend of yours who's with us. So 5 of us filed for patents. If we die before the patent is granted, then your brother, who wasn't on the plane with us, he owns them all. So those 4 scientists, and the 5th person was the Carlyle Group. They own them all now. The patent was granted 3 days after the plane was missing.
Wow.
Okay? And so what I'm saying is, this is the game, and if you can't follow that thread, then you don't.
It's crazy.
What were the patents for?
Huh?
What were the patents for?
Well, the patents was, you heard people talk about they're gonna one day inject you and can control you. Well, these guys come up with something, they don't have to inject you. They just put in this room and you come in and you smell it.
Okay.
And that's why they killed them. They might have not killed them. They might just let them sit there and die.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, so we're back. So that was just a quick video. There's actually this lady explains it really well. There's a whole trace of these patents, and then it goes back to the Carlyle Group and the Rothschilds, and like legitimately a patent that was signed. And this one guy out of a group of 5 actually made the 300 million or whatever off this patent,
Brilliant.
and then that the other dudes like disappeared and died. So who knows? And it ties into that island. I'm bought in on this one. I would agree. I'm something that plane and just like he's right with like all the technology that we have. Like, yes, a plane can crash into the ocean, but for instance, there were calls to family members. If you guys go down this rabbit hole and like a family member saying we don't know where we're going, the plane's diverting and to a different location, like it doesn't add up. And then it just disappears. And then there is this top secret island that supposedly things happen. And then we know Carlisle, whatever group they're called, the Rothschilds, they're connected. So maybe the plane went there and they fucking murdered him. And then that shit got signed and was good to go. So I am bought in 100% in this conspiracy. I'm going to watch the Netflix documentary. There's one out there as well. And I'll fill you guys in after, I watched the documentary. But I'm bought in 100%. This happened. What's your take, Air Force?
What was the patent? He kind of went over that really quick.
Yeah, so it's for some like injection. It was for some injection to like control you or whatever. This was back in this video is pretty old too. But it was some sort of an injection that they were going to be able to give people, whether it's microchips or something. And these scientists signed that patent. Yeah, it's
I think it was to fix like you're smelling like stuff. So
yeah, like something. I don't know. But maybe that wasn't it, but a patent was signed and there were scientists on there that died. And obviously that patent then went to the 5th person. So I don't know, but it's weird, man. I don't know.
So yeah, strangely enough, I do know about that island. I'm sitting here saying, oh, I'm not going to know about anything, but I used to be aerospace ground equipment. So I was on the flight line the first 6 years and I did know of friends of mine who went TDY there. And they would always come back with really weird stories, like just off the wall stuff, like about the workers and how weird they are. Like they like live there. Like they're not from there. Obviously no one is. It's just this remote island, but like the people that work there are like stuck there essentially. So they're all kind of like weird. And a lot of people, I guess there's a lot of lobsters out there and it all goes to the Queen of England. That's what I swear to God, that's what they told me.
The British like colonized that island like in the 60s, 70s. I don't know. Like there's a history on it. You can Google it, and they just like picked out all the locals. I think it was pretty recent. Like not like you gotta look it up, Google it. And they like took over and just kicked out all the locals, and then made this military installation that they now use with us. But yes, it is owned by the United Kingdom. But hey,
so apparently that's where
the Air Force would know about this island. See.
Strangely enough, but apparently that's where the Queen and her family, that's where her lobsters come from, her seafood. It comes from that island, which is super strange. But I knew a lot of goofballs who went TDY there, a lot of goofball airmen, and something crazy was happening there. These airmen would talk about it, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's that secret. It's very remote, obviously, but I don't think it's as top secret as that guy's grandpa made it out to be. Whoever the hell that was. Who was that? It's just some guy quizzing his high grandfather.
That was Grandpa Willie.
Yeah,
that's Grandpa Willie.
Grandpa Willie. Some random dude, and it was the shortest video I could find, because all the other ones were like 10 minutes, and I didn't want to have Buddy, have a heart attack on the show.
He's that guy that it's like, hey, wait for that 3rd drink of bourbon, and hey, let's go talk to him now.
Yeah. Like grandpa's drunk. So my take on it, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about the new conspiracy theories, because for me, like I closed the chapter of this in my conspiracy theory mind, and I just put that book on the bookshelf, because I was pretty convinced that the research I did then was that the pilot went above and beyond to ensure that plane disappeared. Like there's so many, like he simulated the crash on his simulator at home. He purposely disabled he disabled the black box. And then kind of the cherry on top is that he kind of went out of his way to see his hometown from the plane. So like they know he flew over his hometown, which was out of the way, and he tipped the plane in such a way where he was able to look at it before he went wherever he was going. The entire mission was to end his life and everyone on that plane, and so that they would never find it again. Why? We don't know. Which is
a good story, right? Which is a good story.
I just thought there was
either. You know what I'm saying? That's just I mean, you could be right. Yeah. I'm not saying one way or the other, or I am saying one way or the other. I'm saying mine is right.
You are. You said 100%. You can't get. There's no middle ground there.
As far as something disappearing, that could easily happen. The ocean is massive. There's still planes and bodies found to this day from past wars. There's still boats found to this day that people look for forever, and they're just found it by accident. So to say
like
that
Titanic.
we could easily hide something, or in the middle of the ocean, and if you did a lot of effort in hiding it and getting rid of all the tracking stuff, I think that's totally plausible that it could be hidden very well. I mean, that thing could be on the bottom of the Marianas Trench for all we know. So
yeah.
In my mind, there was enough evidence to show that the pilot, for whatever reason, wanted to make that decision. But again, I have not, revisited it. And now you kind of got me intrigued. Now I do want to revisit like the Chinese hackers who were on there. There's a lot more information that's come to light since the last time I looked into it. So if I looked into it now,
there's a documentary on Netflix that
I got to check that out. So if I saw that, I might change my mind.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Suge Knight told you over the ledge. Yeah. What do you got? What's the percentage of it happened?
The pilot killed them all for reasons we don't understand.
0%.
Zero conspiracy.
Good take. Thanks, brother.
And I like conspiracy theories. I really do.
Seems reasonable. That's a lot of money, Brian.
Yeah. Okay. We also got.
That is a lot of money.
We got David Chambers saying it's called Bill Gates.
Okay.
He said it's called Bill Gates' bill.
I mean, we don't question a double bill. All right, we don't. Could be code.
Does that mean that there's like a law coming out? The Bill Gates law?
Like, Bill Gates bill?
Actually, that's a good point. That might be it.
Is that what we're saying?
He might be ahead of all of us right now.
Yeah, he's like, y'all are stupid.
Are we getting some
There's some good conspiracies that revolve around him too. I should
look up
talk
the Bill
about him
Gates
as well.
bill, like
one of these shows. Yeah, buddy, what's your take?
Y'all keep talking. I gotta get my kiddos out of this room, but y'all keep talking.
It sounded like it. It's good. I'll bring him on camera.
That's weird. But the I would say, first of all,
are you vaping?
Have you looked at nice vape? You fucking geek.
Could be some weed too. It's legal now.
Nerd.
Like you're trying to. The conspiracy should be.
He tried to hide that shit.
Why are you putting like? Do you think that going? And then a plume of fucking vapor coming around is like somehow, but nobody's gonna even.
No, I would have just went like this and did it.
Fucking, I remember when I couldn't smoke. Anyway,
I'm quitting.
I did quit actually 3 months ago.
I did quit.
I haven't smoked in 3 months. Or vaped because I'm not.
Do you still dip? Do you still dip?
Because you're not a moron.
No.
You still dip?
No. Why would I quit smoking in order to start dipping?
We got a kid with a headset out. We got a kid with a headset out.
You have a dip.
Look at
guys. We got kids.
Hey, kids.
Hi, guys.
Don't
what do you gotta
do
say?
what Dave
Do you think the
did.
conspiracy happened?
Dave got bad grades in middle
either.
school. That's why he vapes now.
Yeah, don't watch Dave vape because well, he's a bad person.
Nice.
Don't do anything Dave does. He's German.
That kid's got army hair.
Yeah,
Josh
can't
hear
hear.
That kid's
he's
got
not
army
only
hair.
socialist, but he's also he's fascist. You don't want either of Dave. Dave does
like
both
legitimate German fascist.
What we got going on? What is that?
I'm like the nicest guy. I'm like the nicest guy.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi. What are you doing?
We're sitting here doing very educational stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
We're trying to figure out where that plane went.
Yeah, buddy, give us your take.
My take is that okay, first of all, have you looked
Don't beat him on TV,
Garcia?
Josh.
Have you looked at the island of Diego Garcia?
Nope.
Yeah, I Googled it.
It's the top of a giant volcano, basically. That is sunk, right?
Okay.
Okay, that means that there's one airstrip. You know what that airstrip is used for, boys? You know what they do on Diego Garcia? Josh probably knows. Josh knows. It's where they refit and rearm B-52s.
Oh, he couldn't tell you that.
Did you?
It's more than that.
Well, more than that.
Yeah.
There's
a lot more than that.
That's the one that they generally. Okay, but anyway, there's one It's just one landing strip. It's a giant non-moving aircraft carrier for the Air Force. You think that fucking Airman Schmetlap sees Malaysian flight fucking whatever come in and a bunch of like Chinese hackers and people with like all these people, they're not saying something to somebody? No, didn't happen.
Unless they took the steps to clear it ahead of time and ensure there was no TDYs. I mean,
they literally have to get everybody.
I think there's like
4,000
people on that, and most of the people there, 90% of them live there.
Yeah,
Like,
and you know why?
Let's
so
stop.
that would be so easy to cover up, buddy. That'd be so easy to cover up. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's stop pretending like all these Air Force dudes on this fucking rock are the most vigilant people on the planet. All right, we all served. All right, he's still serving. Half the guys on guard were jerking off. The other half were like sleeping. All right,
they don't have to be that vigilant.
Yeah, because Army guys don't do that in the guard tower, right, Nick?
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, we know what we were doing.
Anyway,
we know what we were doing on guard.
An underground base on a flat island in the ocean. Where are you gonna dig? It's underwater. You go. Literally, sea level is 3 feet from the
You
fucking.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't have underground stuff like underwater.
You could.
No, serious
this
question.
isn't G.I. Joe, and the fucking volcano's not gonna like sink in where the plane flies in. That's just not how things happen. It's not.
I'm not buying it, buddy.
It's retarded.
You're trying to be funny right now. I'm not buying it.
This is a 0% chance this happened. 0% chance. Did not happen. Didn't.
Yes, you can. Thank you, San Holo.
Didn't happen.
I think he's supposed to be Han Solo, just as a
with
the word jumble.
Yeah.
So I like the San Holo. I like what he's doing there. And so this guy might have.
All right, so 0% from Buddy as well. 0.
None.
Okay, none.
Didn't happen.
Okay. Holland is below sea level.
You mean the Netherlands? All right, not Holland. All right, nobody called it Holland.
So is you know what else is below sea level? New Orleans. How did that work out? They go to their underground bunkers when they got Katrina came through, or then just everything floods.
Okay,
you gotta be able to pump that water somewhere, people. That's how that works.
Nolans. And David Gray says, love y'all. David, I'd love to say I love you back, but you're artillery, so we don't care about you.
Anyway, I say 0% chance this happened.
Yeah. No, we love you too. Let's see who else is commenting here. We got Hook'em Horns. I guess you guys squeaked it out. Texas must have squeaked it out, and we're not watching the games right now.
You're not gonna give your take, Nick, on whether
Aquarius. Just looking up underwater bases and facilities.
I'm about to give mine.
There's one in Florida. There's one in Florida. It's 60 feet under the surface of the ocean. It's a research lab.
Yeah, because we were inverted.
Plenty of underwater bases, buddy.
Where?
You should look it up.
Where?
It's called Atlantis. It's called Atlantis, buddy. Like
there's one that's called Aquarius. It's an undersea research lab in Florida. And it's 60 feet under the surface of the ocean.
Yeah, you know what they do there? Wait, hold on. You know what? You know how they? You want to know how they? You want to know how they poop there? They swim out into the ocean and go to a dive bell because they literally have to dive there. It's underwater, but
I know what you're talking about. You're thinking about this one location where they're in this like one room hotel underwater and they got to swim somewhere else and take a shit.
In there. You know how big a plane is? And they could
never
lose a plane. They lost a fucking stealth fighter over South Carolina a month and a half ago.
That was an alien spacecraft. We all know that.
Nobody could see it.
Right.
They lost it.
Right.
But we can't lose a plane in the middle of the Pacific.
buddy, let me take over for you. Let me take over for you.
You need to help Buddy out with his logic.
I'm gonna tell you why this is.
Buddy's not on his A game today.
I'm gonna tell you why.
He's trying to sound convincing, but I don't know. Go ahead.
60-40 accurate. 60-40 accurate. All right. So not 0. All right. We can literally put a shot tracer on a golf ball. Right, we can tell you the launch angle, the velocity, like the the trajectory, and we can follow this little golf ball, no matter where it goes,
for at least 400 meters.
Right. But it's a little tiny golf ball. And you know, the FAA, who's got, and you know, the Air Force guy knows this, right? So we could call him Josh, but we'll just call him the Air Force guy, right? Like the Air Force guy knows this, right? They're tracking all this stuff, right? So we're like,
a lot less than you would think.
All of a sudden, bleep, right? And it goes down, right? I'm just saying that just like the Belarus plane that who did Putin kill? Putin killed the guy that was going to challenge the Belarus president, and his private jet just got shut down.
That's wild that they just openly do that, and they're like, "Yeah,
right,
shut it down."
Right. And yeah, and you know that's like, and of course America forgets about it in seconds, right? Because we don't give a shit. We're worried about what Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are doing because that actually is more important. They're really hot right now, right? But so that is there not anything? There's 0% chance, guys, that this plane just didn't go bye-bye somewhere because of who was on it. And like, if we know that he went over his house, then there's a lot of fucking nerds, to include my daughter, who's like an AP like calculus, is like a freshman, can probably tell you where that plane probably ended up. Right? Like, if he was over his house and then he crashed it, there's literally only like X amount of spots that he could have crashed this at in this amount of time. Now, I'm no nerd. I think that was a double negative, so definitely not a nerd. Like just.
Yeah, I mean, they could, they probably did do that, go off its last known location with how much fuel it'd have at that point, and then make a circle around that as, how long he'd last with that fuel. So they probably do have that perimeter, but I guess that, the ocean is just so vast and so deep. Maybe it can sink in parts that they just can't get to.
Right. And then we got Johnny Ray Gardner saying the leader of the Wagner Group.
Yep.
That's who you were talking about earlier. Putin killed the leader of the Wagner Group.
Oh,
or Wagner Group or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like you could be that bold if you were Russia, because again, everybody's like, that's just Russia.
They don't have any conspiracy theories. They're just upfront about it.
Let's do it. Brian says that they have enough fuel to make the island. Yeah, Brian, they absolutely did. I think the island was like in their flight path anyway, so I don't think it was like going out of the way. From my understanding,
and I'm not calling you San Holo. I'm calling you Han Solo. Han Solo said that we would have found some luggage or something, right? There got to be something floating around the ocean, right?
Just a bunch of dildos.
Yes, but we'll ask the next Navy guy on here. Hey,
what everybody carries on those flights.
Some luggage.
So 60-40, Nick, huh? 60-40, yes, or is it
60-40? 60-40 because there's money involved, all right?
Yeah.
And there's always money involved. And then number two is like, let's not pretend like planes haven't just fucking went bye-bye. And again, Russia can just blow it out of the sky because, like I said, we just laugh off and go, it's just Russia. Putin's crazy. It's like, no, that dude just shot a plane out of the sky. Like nobody cares. Like, whatever. But, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so I think we could run right into Buddy's weak-ass honesty cap he's about to give us.
Yeah, you better bring your A game now, buddy, because
I already told you I don't have an honesty cap. The honesty cap is that plane did not fucking land on goddamn Diego Garcia, and they unloaded him with a bunch of like Air Force airmen. They were like, "Hey, welcome to the personnel department, and we're gonna give you a bagel and a hot ham sandwich for our flight on a C-17." Like, nope, didn't happen. That's my honesty cap.
Nice. Yeah. So you honestly did not, even though you're more clean cut than I've seen you in months.
And you got a nice hat on to Josh.
And you got a nice hat on.
I would like to yield to Josh from the Intelligence Committee.
Yeah. Josh. The floor is yours. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Josh. I've been following Josh on LinkedIn for quite some time now, just because, he's got the marketing down, the hair. All right, the images, the thumbnails that he puts out they're gorgeous. So if you don't follow Josh White on social media, go follow it. Like, it's just, even as probably a 97% straight man, like I am drawn to the pictures, right? He's a good looking dude. Now he asked, have we had any Air Force guys on here? And actually we have. And one of our first guests was speaking of the stealth plane, was a F-35 pilot, right? And not like 60 Minutes couldn't do it, Dateline couldn't do it, whatever investigative shows, but we figured it out. And we got that pilot to actually own up to the fact that he was the guy that's responsible for all the failures of the F-35. And I mean, he did, and we have it on record. He took that, and that was Veteran Trash Talk that brought that out. So we know, taxpayers, all right, where the money went wrong, and it was that pilot. Now, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce Josh White, who is the voice of the Air Force. All right.
Not officially.
Yeah, not officially, because we don't want to get fired.
Don't say that.
Right?
He's still on active duty.
Yeah. But he is everything that represents the Air Force. Just kidding. No. Hey, tell us why, you use the stories that, we do, like the paratroopers and all the cool guys, and then you somehow turn that around into like making you some kind of hero, right? And how that's worked for your reach, and that your reach pretty much grew telling stories about airborne operations, because they were on an Air Force platform. But, we're the ones that are the cool guys. But let us know how I'm just really curious on how you put that all together to get the biggest reach of the Air Force.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the dumpster fire, Josh.
Yeah, no, I love that. And by the way,
cheers, brother.
yes,
Welcome on.
I'm not officially sponsored by the Air Force or DoD. Want to make that clear.
None of the opinions that are going to be shared are the official opinion of the
later. But the military has partnerships, right? Like you guys have a nonprofit who's like named after like a Medal of Honor recipient in the Army, right? What is that called? It's like a group of y'all that get together, like a private org. That's not ringing a bell at all.
No, none of us have Medal of Honors. We won all of our fights.
Wait.
Well, in the Air Force, we have the Air Force Sergeants Association, which is basically a nonprofit that the Air Force does not own. But
are you talking about Audie Murphy?
Yes.
Are you talking about Audie Murphy?
Audie Murphy.
That's
Audie
not
Murphy
a nonprofit. That's
an actual club. But it is a club in the military, like the Audie Murphy Club. Yeah.
Is that owned by the Army?
I don't know. It's like a fraternity. It's
because there's an award. You have an award.
Yeah, you can wear it with your uniform. So
yeah, you get your name on the chow hall too, like the Garrison Sergeant Major.
Yeah, you get like special parking privileges, and then like when you go to a different military installation, like your Sergeant Major is supposed to notify that Sergeant Major that a Audie Murphy recipient has come into that installation. It's kind of a pretty big deal, I guess.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about it from my neighbors here. It sounds pretty amazing. They're trying to stand one up here at Eglin, actually. But I guess my point was, although I'm not owned by the DoD or the Air Force because it's a private org, it's something I created, they still have supported me, which I've been super blessed to go TDY and be able to interview, all sorts of folks. So, they do support me. But how I started, it was definitely not like that. So why I created Hero Front in the beginning was because, and it's been going on for 3 years now, is because the first 10 years of my life, I was basically a suicidal alcoholic, right? Just I didn't know my place in life. I just took it day by day. I had no plan. I had no great life skills. And I just became very unhappy. My first base was in Guam and I had a blast. And that's a very easy assignment. I went to Kadena after that and I was on nights, 12-hour shift for like a year straight, and just got so disconnected and that disconnection and the isolation is just brutal. I didn't have a mentor or a friend, I just felt alone, and I would go home and drink and game and stuff. Like it just wasn't healthy. And by the time I got to Missouri, I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base. I was still maintenance.
Gross.
I know. So I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base. And all those bad habits, that depression, led to me getting myocarditis, being hospitalized for a few weeks and almost losing my life.
Damn.
I thought, at that point, that's my rock bottom, right? Like it can't get any lower than this. I was kind of glad it happened because I was like, this is like my wake up call. So, you could imagine my disappointment when a few weeks later, I'm already puking in my sleep from drinking too much, waking up with vomit all over me, thinking, okay, I guess I am going to die from this. If that didn't stop me, I'm so miserable and so far gone that I just accepted that I was going to pass away at some point. A again, I felt very out of place. I was not a good maintainer, right? Like that's just not what my skill set is. So I've always felt like an outsider. But when I was at Whiteman and I was at my lowest point after I was hospitalized, we got a whole new team and they kept talking me into, please come out with us, come out with us. And I got to say, like, those people probably saved my life because they wouldn't let it go. They knew something was wrong and they kept inviting me out, and I finally relented and I ended up absolutely having a blast because I, went out with them. It was to the movie theater. A new movie theater opened up. And in Warrensburg, which is in the middle of, it's a very country type of town, that was a big deal to get this brand new big movie theater. That's the night I laid eyes on my now wife. So talk about fate, right? Like talk about something spiritual happening. But that was when I met my wife. She was working concessions and, I wanted to be with someone like that, but I wasn't. I knew I was like a piece of shit and I needed to make a lot of changes. So between me meeting those friends and me meeting
hold on, Josh. Sorry. Have you seen that video where the guy is like the baby, like he tries to hold the baby and the baby starts crying and he's like, yeah, the baby probably doesn't want to be around me because I used to be a real piece of shit. That's all I could think of when you said that was, yeah, I used to be a real.
That's the way you worded it, man.
It's just,
like, yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm calling it that. That's
Right.
what it was. That's what
good.
it was. And I gotta say, at that low point, like nobody hated me more than me. I hated myself because have you ever like drawn a line in the sand and you said, I'm gonna stick to this. I'm not gonna ever do that again, and you consistently break the own kind of boundaries you set for yourself. And you kind of just lose all respect for yourself and you end up hating yourself. It's a very horrible cycle to go down. But at that point in time, I wanted to turn my life around. I met my wife. We started dating and I was like, man, if I'm going to keep someone like this, like I can't be, a piece of shit. And so, I really started turning my life around at that point, got the retrain into medical, which was like my second chance in life, because had I not got that retrain or met my wife or any of that, I'm pretty positive you wouldn't be talking to me right now because I was going to get out after 6 years. I was in debt. I had zero school. I was completely lost and I was going home to probably live with my parents, a complete failure. And I probably wouldn't have lasted long with that shame, had I had that played out in that way. But, by the grace of God, I got this retrain in this second chance. I saw it as a second chance. I really did. And from that point on, I became a medic and I really started turning my life around. I got married. And the drinking was still a problem. It was still a crutch in my life. And I hated that. I hated that. Like I couldn't be myself. I couldn't feel comfortable unless I had drinks in me. I couldn't do it. Like I get that some people can drink and it's totally healthy for them and it's totally fine, but like that wasn't me. I had a very horrible relationship with alcohol. And it wasn't until I started military funeral honors when I finally felt purposeful for the first time in my life. Like I started to realize like purpose and happiness is something that you really got to earn by being vulnerable, by taking chances on yourself, like little baby steps in the right direction. It's not like an overnight kind of thing. But, being there for those families, I was there for 2 years, about 1,000 funerals a year, and 7 active duty funerals that we performed, 5 of which were suicides. So, and my role as the NCOIC was to hand the flag to, typically it was the mother and the children and the parents, and then give the message of condolence, which, while I was drinking, that would have been impossible for me to do. If I'm being honest, it would have been impossible. But by the time I got to honor guard and was able to be there for those families, I actually was finally able to stop drinking. And the day that happened was right before I was selected for honor guard. I won a wing award, the first award I've ever won. I didn't think I was worth a damn. I never put my name in. I always tried to lay low. But as I started making like that little progress in my life, people started giving me opportunities and I started knocking them out one by one. And I saw how, like, when I completed this opportunity, I felt great. I felt a little bit of confidence and it opened up these other opportunities above that one that I didn't even
That's
know
the state of mind that you're living in then. Yep.
Yeah. So I was starting to head in the right direction for the first time in my life. And by the time I got to honor guard, I was really ready to take on something like that. And my supervisor put me in for that award and wrote the package. Typically in the Air Force, your supervisor tells you to write it. If you want to put yourself in, go for it. It's very rare that like they write it on your behalf and submit it. Although I feel like that's how it should be. And for the first time ever, I won at the squadron, the group, the wing, and my wife was there. I had my baby girl was just born recently, so she was holding the baby, and my wife like barely made it to the photo. I'm getting the award, and everyone's like, "Make a hole, make a hole." I mean, there was like hundreds of people at this thing. My wife comes running. It's like this beautiful moment, right? That just felt surreal when just going through so much pain and turmoil and disappointment. It felt very fulfilling. And I felt like, holy shit, like I can't believe like I feel like happy and proud of myself. Like this is crazy. And we go out to the bar that night. And if you're a big drinker, if there's a time to celebrate, like you're fully gonna take advantage of that. Like you're like, hell yeah, I got an excuse to drink. I'm gonna go ape shit. Like my wife's driving. I can basically drink guilt free. My wife's not gonna get mad. So I thought it was gonna be one of those nights. And that night, I changed my mind at the last second and I just ordered a water. My wife's like, "What are you doing? I thought you were gonna get like hammered." And I was like, "You know what? Like I for the first time in my life didn't need to fill some void. Like I actually felt happy and fulfilled. And it was kind of my aha moment that like all that whole 10 years prior, I was searching for a rock bottom to turn my life around.
Damn,
And
you're making me feel like a real shitbag right now.
No, I was gonna say, hey,
I'm
cheers,
just kidding.
cheers.
No, this is good. This is good.
No,
this is
cheers,
good, man.
Good time. Shout out to our sponsor, 10th Mountain Whiskey. So hey, if you looking for a good time, 10th Mountain Whiskey.
I'm obviously joking around, but that's good, Josh.
So the aha moment though was basically I was looking in the wrong direction, right? I was looking at making my life a living hell until I hit rock bottom, and then I could turn it around. And that was completely not the way it actually turned around. It actually turned around with love and connection and purpose, things that I was just missing that I didn't even know existed. So I was looking at it the total wrong way. And that's why I tell that story, because I know there's other people out there who are feeling that way and they just keep going down, wondering how far does this go down? When in reality, there's little things you can do to get yourself out of that hole. And it's just baby steps every day. And I turned my whole life around in 1 year. Like when I started going forward for the first time, 1 year later.
The first time you realized you were going forward.
Right. A year after that, I was in a whole different life, a whole different mindset. And I was performing this duty that most people could never, ever do, handing those flags to the family and being there for them in a way that no one else can. And from that point forward, I've never drank again. And it's been like 4 or 5 years now. I still feel like I don't need it. Was it easy? Hell no. I felt super awkward in social situations. It was not easy. I'm not going to pretend like it was. There's still moments today that infuriate me. And I'm like, damn, like if I could just drink right now, like that would just hit the spot. You know what I mean? And I have to just say, no, I'm not doing that, because I know the second I let that back in my life, like it's over. It's just one of those demons that's just always behind me, and it's just waiting for me to slip up. But I gotta say, I've learned more about myself now. Like I realized how depressed I was. I didn't realize how sad I was. When you're drinking, you kind of go numb. You kind of put yourself on pause, right?
Well, yeah, that's the point. That's the point of when people who drink for that purpose, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, man. And it was like Han Solo, coming out that chamber. He's been frozen that whole time. But I started feeling all these emotions and thoughts I never had, and I was like, man, I need help. Like I've needed help, and I just didn't see it. I would have when I was at my lowest point, I was so embarrassed to even ask for help. I would have rather died than ask for help, which is terrible. And I feel like our culture's come a long way since then with that, which is great. But I started getting help. I ended up getting prescribed Zoloft for a little bit and really had to like fix some things that I didn't even see while I was drinking. So that in a nutshell is why I started the podcast. So every episode that I do, I'm trying to reach that senior airman white who is on that flight line, who had no one in their life guiding them. They're searching for answers, right? They're searching for help. They don't know where to find it. They don't know who to talk to. I'm hoping these episodes, these talks that I'm having can reach those people who no one's even thinking about or talking about because they're on nights and you never see them. So at its core, that's where it comes from. The second reason I do it is from my experience in Honor Guard, where I needed to keep this group of airmen motivated, right? These are young kids going to funerals. Some of their friends, ended their life or they lost someone like this. It's a very triggering experience for some to be. So I needed to find a way to keep them positive and motivated. So I started highlighting them, getting to know them and sharing their story online. And I saw like it was shared. Some of them were shared like hundreds of times. Some of these parents never even seen their kids in uniform because they're so, isolated that they weren't even sharing anything online. So suddenly they're seeing, their son or daughter in ceremonials. And I saw like how much pride and love that gave that person. And it cost me nothing to do that. Right. It just took a little bit of time. And I never could have felt comfortable complimenting people had I not fixed myself first. Like, had I not worked.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I could never feel comfortable giving someone a compliment, or I could have criticized them.
That's easy. That's easy.
That's easy. I could have shit on them, criticized them, call them out. But I got to an emotional place where I was able to make people feel special and be okay with that. And not everyone can do that. Like that takes work on yourself first. And once I saw how much it changed their life, I knew I was onto something. And so once the pandemic hit, we were encouraged to communicate online more. Our Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Bass, first female to hold that role for any branch, she advocated for us and said, hey, I want y'all to get online and communicate. So we created all these groups, and then podcasts started popping up. And I was like, you know what? That's what I need, because with Honor Guard, that's going to end. It's a temporary position. I need something that I own that's permanent. And for those two reasons and those two stories, that all led to me starting the Hero Front podcast.
No, that's awesome. We're going to get into that. And something I was thinking about.
We got some questions in the chat too.
Yeah. I'm going to get to that because it triggered some of my emotional stuff from doing, from doing funeral details, and you're spot on. So Brian says,
yeah, those aren't easy at all, man.
Yeah, Brian says, how do you process the emotions from what you do? Before you answer that, Josh, for those of you watching, I've been a part of some funeral details where I knew the service member, and those are actually very, like, I would say easier to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sad because they were my brother, but like I'm honoring my brother. Like I'm gonna do like it just for me. It seemed easier for me to do that. Now, when I got to Hawaii for my platoon sergeant time in the 25th, and then first sergeant time, like a squad leader came in and he just looked like shit. And I said, and I hadn't met him before. I go, "What's up, man?" And he's like, "Hey, Sergeant." I was like, he's like, I just want to let you know that my squad's been on field detail for like 3 months now. And he's like, we really don't come in to do PT. Really, we don't we do little formations here. It's like, it sucks. And I'm sitting there like, being me, you guys know me, buddy, and you know me. I'm like, well, fuck, do PT. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what we got going on here? And then I went and did one with him, and it was with a family that I had never met, never knew. And I'm watching these life stories of this service member that we're honoring, and now I'm starting to get emotional, and I'm about to. What hit me the hardest was that, like, when I took the knee with the flag, because it was an E7 that had died.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm sitting there like, I'm staring at this lady, like, where it's like, I don't know if I can come through. I know I can come through for my battle buddy. Like, I know I can share that emotion and that love for my battle buddy. But like, I had the biggest ball in my throat, like when I was
No,
like,
man, it's one of it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. 100%.
yeah. If you want to answer that question, for those of you watching and understand that, is like, obviously, you know, it seems simple to us to say it, but like, of course, we're going to honor our battle buddies. We're gonna honor them as best that we can. But to actually have that ball in your throat, and like,
oh yeah, especially if it's like a wife and there's kids sitting there. Like I did one, and it was in South Carolina, and I had to hand it to the wife and like a little young child. Like it's pretty surreal. And then you're standing there. Well, you kneel and you do your little that's tough, man.
So yeah, answer that for Brian if you don't mind, Josh. How do you process the emotions from that?
So I'd say a few things that helped. One is a lot of practice. So at least in the Air Force, we keep those airmen for like 6 months at a time. They rotate through. And we pick the sharpest airmen on base to do it because they have a lot of response. They have basically no oversight. Like there's like one NCO and they're in vans all over the state, right? So they have to be sharp airmen. But a lot of it's practicing and just getting comfortable. Like if you did trip out up here, at least you would know what to do with your hands, right? Like you've done it so many times. So I'd say for one, it's just a lot of dedicated practice. For two, it's the bonding with the team. We were blessed to have a chaplain with a lot of funds. We go rock climbing, we go camping. Like these
Force,
chaplains, the program's called True North.
Army, they're like, go to the next one. Oh, we know True North.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a True North program, and they brought that teamwork and that fun times that we had. The bonding experience that we had. We trusted each other. And we knew we're there for each other. So I'd say that's another part that helped. But for me, like that was the most uncomfortable, hardest thing I've ever done in my life, especially when they want you to present it at the end and you're at an active duty service and you hear this person's whole life story while everyone's sobbing like right next to you. And in those moments, I feel like I'm going to black out. I mean, it's I have gray hairs from that. I mean, it's hard, but how I got through it truly was, for one, I said, if I can do this, if I can get through this, then there's nothing in my life that's going to ever be as hard as this. This is the hardest it's ever going to get. So it was knowing that. And two, just knowing that not many people can actually go through with that. And I just had a lot of pride with, if I can keep my composure, if I can perform this duty for this family and have them be proud of this person who passed away, like I basically felt like I was the only one who could do that in that moment. And and just wanting to honor that member and that family meant so much to me that I was emotionally going to take the hit, but I damn sure was going to get through it and do it the right way because I wanted to be there for them.
Buddy, looks like you wanted to say something.
No, I was going to comment that.
So yes.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Taps has got to be. I mean, for people that aren't in the military.
Oh my God.
They're like, I'm guessing it's just another song. Taps has got to be. I don't care how many times I've heard it. The worst gut-wrenching fucking song I've ever heard in my life, and I don't know why. It never gets like, it's never like you hear it and you're like, oh, whatever, it's just Taps. Like, it's always horrible.
Yeah, and
it's especially for us, where it's embedded in us, and then obviously we can relate it to a situation or somebody's funeral, so it just doubles the emotional side of it. Because before, if you heard Taps, you wouldn't care. Like, whatever. You see it in a movie or whatever, and you're like, yeah, it sucks. But once you actually experience it and stuff, then it just makes it worse. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what do you talk to the guys about on your podcast? I mean, I know you talked about like you try to spread some positivity and you highlight the guys that are like isolated on their shift or whatever, or the guys that are doing the funeral details and stuff. What do you is that who you talk to, or do you talk to just other Air Force like NCOs and officers? What do you do on your podcast?
Hey, before you answer that, I was going to ask a very similar question, buddy. But I want to just I say, would it be true veteran trash talk without one of us interrupting the other one and then making a little bit of a highlight of or a joke of it? But I noticed that you had Troxel on your show,
Yes.
right? And so I called Troxel. So I called Troxel and I said, "Man, you really are a fucking sellout, aren't you?" Right? And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "You went on fucking Josh White's show, like." What, to sell a fucking book? And I'm like, are you serious right now? But no, yeah. So yeah, go ahead and answer.
I love that guy.
You know what to say now. He's awesome. He's been on our show a couple times already. We love Troxel.
I love Troxel because so when I first started, it was the first interview I did was with my dad. My dad raised me as a single father. You know, he was my guiding light through everything. You know, my biggest mentor. He was enlisted, became an officer, and then ended up being a civilian for the Air Force for another 10 years. So a true patriot, amazing guy. And he was my very first episode. And then after that's a lot of my friends, right? People from Honor Guard, people that I just remembered their story. Because I've always been that person to kind of dig, right? Like I've always wanted to know what people's failures were. What did they learn from it? What's their purpose? I was always intrigued by that. And being in the Air Force allowed me to have this huge, diverse group of people, you know, to kind of pick their brain essentially. And so that's something that I've always naturally loved to do anyways. And so it was very easy to find a lot of my friends, you know, as it gained popularity. And I think the senior leaders really saw like how big the reach really is, that not even their wing commanders call can hold a flame to the reach that these podcasts have. I think once they saw that, I started getting a lot of offers. I started getting sent TDY, and so here I'm just gonna read a few of the episodes that I have, like my top 10 episodes essentially. So number 10 is Free Your Mind, Unlocking the Veteranpreneur Potential. So that's Todd Simmons. He is basically an entrepreneur extraordinaire. He's doing it the right way. A lot of veterans are great at entrepreneurship. He's created a freaking empire, right? So that it was very cool being able to ask him how he did that. Number 9 is Senior Master Sergeant Tawanda Griffin Greer, who was a first shirt who was part of an active shooter event. Her commander was killed right in front of her. And then that member ended his life and everyone ran in a panic. But not many people get to see that up close and survive to talk about it. You know, typically the active shooter is taking out everybody. And I saw a lot of healing with her being able to share her story because she had a lot of shame about that. But it's a unique perspective. I had Brianna Brooks McConnell, who is a medic and had a Purple Heart and Combat Action Medal. I have Jeff Martin, who is a command chief who's had a lot of unique missions. Chief Ian Eishen, who I called the Tony Stark of the Air Force. He's an absolute genius and just sees all these problems and knows really creative ways how to get around them. I had Major Kate Hewlett, who's one of the very rare female officer pilots that have a crippling disease. So she has a lot of medical conditions that, you know, she's battling, and she talked a lot about that. And she also is a very big advocate for female flyers. And then I've talked to people like General David Goldfein, who is the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. And I've talked to Lieutenant General Slife, who is a 3-star. That's about to be the Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force. And I talked to people like Sam Ekholm, who is like a lot like me, who is a content creator. So just in that top 10, you know, there was a lot of different variety and topics in there, but everyone's got something to provide. Everyone's got something to bring to the table. Like, I don't care who it is. I've talked to random airmen that have had the most mind-blowing story I've ever heard, and no one ever knew it. No one even took the time to ask, but now we're able to have this conversation and capture it. And I've always thought that was like incredible. So I don't just go for like the big names. I try to find a really good variety, but one thing I definitely learned is that literally everyone has something to bring to the table to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like what we always try to say is that when we started Veteran Trash Talk is should we worry about the guests? Like, are the guests gonna be good enough? Are they strong enough? Are they powerful enough? And then you get somebody like one of my favorite guests from us to this day is Be Free Be You, that kid. Like, I don't know if you guys
Hell
remember
yeah.
him. Like,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Like that, it just was a phenomenal guest, and it was
his dad was the shit too. Like his dad was awesome.
His dad was E7, and his kid, had
Yeah.
started a company and really had nothing to do, like no war stories, no, nothing like heroic, like whatever. And all this, it's just like we all felt just great, after talking to a kid like that. But I want to get back to the veteran trash talk angle of this. And how long have you been at Eglin?
I've been here 3 years.
Oh, damn it! I was gonna say because I got my vasectomy at Eglin.
Oh, hell yeah!
Right, and Buddy probably didn't know about this angle coming here.
No, I don't want to cut you off. But,
yeah, right.
I like that.
But I had 2 Air Force medics shaving my balls, so I was kind of hoping you were one of them. But
I wish I was one of them.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the hard part that your left nut would have had if that dude would have shaved your balls?
I would have gave you a solid hard part, bro.
Your ball would have been like all fucking sleeved over. Like, what up, dude? You gonna cut me, bro?
Yeah,
cut me, dude.
Absolutely, you would have got that solid hard part, bro.
And right down the middle.
And again, I feel bad for anybody who got a vasectomy in the Army because I got mine in the Air Force, and they gave me drugs before.
Yep.
Right. So I was nice and high. I had like my shades on. I felt like Tom Cruise in Risky Business. Like I was ready. Right. And then we go in there and they turn on. The guy goes, "Hey, would you like any music during this?" And I was like, "Yeah, gangster rap." And so
that's what I listen to.
So
my iPod or iPod.
So they literally play gangster rap, right? And I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I'm high as shit, right? And they start.
They give you a perk and a volume.
They start prepping surgery,
yeah.
right? Which
They have volume.
Yeah,
volume. They give you a volume.
They give you a volume.
They turn that gangster rap way up, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I got these two. I got these 2 Air Force medics. If we find them, we'll get them on your show, Josh. I got these 2 Air Force medics. And then I'm sitting there, I go, and then, like I said, they're prepping, right? They're doing their job. And I'm sitting there, I go, hey, what the hell did you guys do wrong? And they're like, what? And I was like, well, I mean, you're like, what's your MOS? They're like, well, we're medics. And I go, well, like, did you you had to have gotten in trouble because you're shaving my balls right now. This has to be a punishment. And they're like, well, not really. It was either here or the proctology clinic. And I was like, okay. So I was really hoping that would turn into Josh. I've seen you before, but
Man, well, that would have been a great story.
Well, at least it worked, Nick. I did mine at Bragg, and I went back to get checked.
No shit, it didn't work
at
Bragg.
I was still live fighter, and it didn't work. I was part of that small percentage of the people that heal back up or whatever. And I was like, I don't want to, because we had that one guy at battalion that couldn't walk anymore after he had it done at Bragg. I forgot his name, but he was walking slouch. They messed his whole shit up.
Oh, that was all entangled. He had the entangled.
That just sounds horrible.
No, he was in our platoon.
And Amy at the time was like, go do it again. I'm like, no, nah, bro. Yeah. I'm not doing this ever again. And I didn't do it.
That's like the electric chair for your Siemens. Like if they make it through, you gotta let me go. I did life. I've already killed
that's what he told me, man. He's like, hey, you're still live firing. That's still live fire there. You're not good. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then hey Josh, Kristen Christie texted me and said to say hello. So I know you've met her, another phenomenal person in the fight against veteran suicide and specifically airman suicide. But tell me, kind of like what Buddy was asking, tell us about are there any things that you got through on your show where we always say on Veteran Trash Talk how great we feel afterwards because we always do. This is our own therapy, and you're spot on with the fact that with social media now we're able to reach thousands of people, if not millions of people, like that. So Give us a story about one of your shows that was like something that just made you just like almost like relax, like come out of like this is awesome. This is great. We learned a lot.
So I'd say one of those would definitely be Pioneering Progress, Exploring the Manpower and Reserve Affairs Portfolio with the Honorable Alex Wagner. So that was kind of the first time like someone took a picture of the Pentagon's calendar and sent it to me because it said Hero Front Podcast and it was like on the Pentagon's calendar, for the Air Force side. But they set me up with the Honorable Alex Wagner. And that was a very like lighthearted discussion about like, him joining the Air Force team, how he had to do like a PT test. He's also gay and in this leadership role. And it was just a very unique perspective that he had with that as well. But I've never spoke to anyone like a person like this, right? Like someone who is a civilian in a high up government position. It was very enlightening. He's a funny and very humble guy. And I left that conversation like, holy shit. Like not only did I feel great, but like I talked to someone who, if I wasn't a podcaster, I never would have even known existed. So that was definitely one of those kind of episodes for me.
Nice.
Oh, I got one more. I got one more person.
Do it.
My best friend, Ronnie Deschaines. He's an absolute goofball and I love the kid. So we were at basic training together, tech school for 6 months together, and we were at Guam together. And he was my roommate. And that first base was we were in a screamo band. Like we were drunk all the time. We had a band. It was called Faded Memories. We were constantly getting in trouble, almost getting.
What's
up?
We're not just gonna cross over screamo. What is the fuck screamo band?
You don't know what that is?
Josh, I don't know how you guys do it in the Air Force, but in the Army, if we know what something is, we don't ask what the fuck it is. We go ahead and continue on with our lives. That's why I asked you what the fuck it was.
Because we can't go forward right now, Josh.
Screamo at this point is like something super cringy. But back then it's basically screaming rock music with like a high voice singer. Like Story of the Year is kind of an example. You've heard of Story of the Year. So it's probably not anything y'all have listened to if I'm being honest.
Oh.
How do you know?
How do you know what we listen to, Josh?
I got a screamo freaking poster right over there. I'll show it to you, but I don't really have one.
I was almost like, fuck, Story of the Year, shit, yeah, dude, fucking, shit, cool as fuck, dude. I'm on fleek. Everything. Yeah, nah.
But my point is, we almost got kicked out a million times. We got absolutely shit on by our shop. We had to clean this cockroach infested bathroom every day for 2 years. Just treated like dog. And this is when hazing was still cool. This is like 2005, so we were getting hazed like it was. I got tied up to the freaking wash rack.
Outside?
I got tied up to the wash rack, covered in food and water. Like it just got out of control. But we had so many crazy shenanigans in that first base because we were able to drink legally. The drinking age was 18 at that time in Guam, and we had so many close calls. Almost got kicked out so many times, and I had to have an episode with my boy Ronnie. We're both master sergeants now, so we defied the odds. And we got to basically reminisce on every one of those stories and how freaking insane we were. So that was probably my other like favorite episode where I left just like feeling great and laughing my ass off.
Nice. Hey, yeah, before we turn it over to Buddy for the AAR, because normally I do the AAR, Buddy does Honesty Cat, but he didn't feel like working today. So we'll if he wants to do the AAR. Before we get to Buddy doing the AAR. He's looking up whatever music.
I'm looking up screamo music, guys.
Yeah, how
just go slow.
How do people get to your podcast? How do they subscribe? Where do they follow you? Because like I said, I've been following you for about a year now, so probably listened to about 4 of those top 10 you said. So like, tell people how to get to all that.
So I just keep it real simple. I just say go to herofrontpodcast.com. I mean, that's really it. And then from there, I have all my links laid out if you wanted to like follow me or find me on some sort of social media. But HeroFrontPodcast.com, that's my home base. That's got everything Hero Front related.
Nice. Well, and again, like the story you shared today will get listened to by a lot. You know, obviously with Apple Podcasts and Spotify, people download this and listen to it. They're going to hear it. So there's somebody that's probably been in your shoes, and it's definitely going to help somebody. So really appreciate you sharing that with us. And then, you know, talking about how that, you know, they always say this in a lot of leadership books and mindset books is where when you're doing something, usually something spurs it, something, you know, some type of tragedy, you know, and that's what, you know, Disney makes millions of dollars off of is, you know, some type of tragedy turned into, you know, action. So appreciate you sharing that. Buddy, if you don't mind, the AAR, if it's okay, even though your hat is super cool. You just taking notes.
I've got it written down. Okay, let's start off.
Has notes.
Malaysian flight. Bullshit. Just crashed. We all know it's
with that one
bullshit.
today.
The Air Force guy said it just crashed. Bullshit. It just
Facts.
crashed. All right? Fact. Bullshit. Dave is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That thing just went down. Nobody knows. All right? Josh from the Hero Front podcast used to be a piece of shit. Huge piece of shit, guys.
Hell yeah.
He was drinking it at a screamo band, but then he got an award and a fucking baller ass haircut. Opened up a podcast and he started fucking interviewing people. Now he's the shit.
Hell yeah, I
Doing
love
good.
that. I'm gonna start telling my story like that.
That's what you should do.
Just
you know
clip
what?
clip the video. That's your intro.
Yeah,
Josh,
that's my intro.
I don't want to suggest anything, but I could be your hype man. All right?
Oh, shit, I love that, buddy.
Welcoming Josh White used to be a huge piece of shit. Now it's awesome. Fuck. It's cool shit. Used to be a guy you wouldn't want your fucking daughter around. Now, you definitely want to introduce him. Well, you would, except for he's married already. So suck it, nerds. You lost out. Now he started from the bottom. Now he's here with his hard part.
You got a lot of sound bites to provide me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's yours. That's all yours. Feel free to reuse. All right.
Absolutely.
You just went to about 20 million followers. Like just with that intro.
But for real, go to
Buddy only had a professional page.
Go to the Hero Front podcast. Oh, we're gonna talk about some other stuff here in a second. Go to the Hero Front podcast. Listen to Josh, especially if you're an airman, or even if you're not an airman. If you're an Army guy, you're a Marine, whatever. Like we give each other shit because we aren't in the same force. We don't have the same job, but at the end of the day, you know, a guy that's maintaining an aircraft on an airfield has a lot of the same problems as a guy that's chilling in an LPOP in the Army and is by himself just kind of hanging out. You know what I mean? So listen to his podcast. He may be able to give you I could probably help you out also later with the bass base issue.
I'm not even going there.
Don't even touch it. I wouldn't touch it.
Don't.
You'll be in
Stop.
trouble.
Just stop.
None of them know what's up. I'm key to it though. But anyway, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it, and we'll definitely look into your podcast. Again, we're sponsored by 10th Mountain Whiskey. They're delicious. You should go and try them. And for Patriots, by the way, I would like to suggest that For Patriots sends us some of their food, and we start doing little like taste testers.
Dude,
like
you should.
The Keith Lee guy, except for not in Atlanta because he didn't get any food there. But we do some taste tests, and we get some chili mac. They better have chili mac. We'll talk about how the noodles
They got a pretty damn good selection on there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like send us the stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't get in this kind of shape without trying some foods, guys. So send them out. I'll let you know what we think.
That's why you go to the gym every day now. Yeah.
Boom. I got you.
24 hours a day. It's a lifestyle.
Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I'm saying? 24-hour access. Anyway, Nick, back to you.
No, awesome. Yeah, and we'll get into the cheesy For Patriots ad at the end of this. But again, if you like outdoor survival stuff, again, why not use the discount? So go there, put VTTGW. They're an awesome company that's partnered with us to help us get our message out to more people, and help share Josh's story, help share other people's stories. Their money goes to that. So go ahead, if you have a little bit extra change, you want to have some outdoor survival stuff, they're your people. All right. So go there and do it. All right, Dave, close us out.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Can I just say something about y'all?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
So I want to tell y'all thank you so much for having me on. I've never got to be a guest, and so many people kept asking me why I do what I do. So to come on a podcast like y'all's and be able to spend time with y'all, I just want to tell you I'm super grateful and thankful for that. I've been in 19 years. I'm planning on hitting the button at 20. And, I worry about what that looks like. I'm not going to lie. Like, it scares the shit out of me because for the first time in my life, I don't know where I'm going, where I'm going to live. I don't know any of that. And I've known all that info for the past 19 years. Right. So, but when I see you guys, I see how close you are, that you still, support each other, and you've created this community on the backside of your military service time. Like, it just gives me more faith in my own future, because I know I'll be in a group of guys and gals just like you. And I'm just super thankful that I now have y'all in my life.
I appreciate that, Josh. Stick around after our cheesy ad. We'll still be on, so
Let's
chat about it. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Awesome having you on again. Love your stories and everything. I think Nick and Buddy already spoke and kind of hit on the stuff that you're doing. I think it's great. I know you're definitely making a difference, and like Buddy said as well, just not just in the Air Force, Army, Navy, or anybody that's going through a rough time or a rough patch in their life. There's always a way up. And I think you definitely showed us that you can struggle and then find that strength to do better, which you're doing right now. So awesome stuff. Go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. It has the links to everything, including our store, shop.veterantrashtalk.com. Keep calm, lay suppressive fire. Buddy's wearing the hat. I'm wearing one of our 76 shirts. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, now a word from our sponsor, which is me in the same voice. It's hilarious. Let's go. Thanks for watching and listening. And now a word from our sponsor, For Patriots. In a startling description, the UN food chief warned the world with the words, knocking on famine's door. He called what we're facing a perfect storm of a perfect storm. And he's not alone. Barron's published that a food shortage could be coming, even in the U.S. Farmers see it too. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer, told Fox News that we're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months. That's why getting survival food is more important than ever now. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling For Patriots survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking good for 25 years super survival food, hand-packed in a family-owned facility in the USA and giving jobs to over 200 Americans. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners. You can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Just add boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, for the next few days, listeners of the Veteran Trash Talk podcast will get 10% off their first order at forpatriots.com by using the code VTTGW. Go to forpatriots.com and use the code VTTGW to start your stockpile today.